Ranking the best upsets in sports history. Now this is just going to be North American team sports, so there won't be anything from overseas or any individual sports. 15th is Stanford USC in 2007. Stanford came into the game with a 1-3 record and had 7 straight losing seasons, while USC was ranked second in the country and had a 35-game home winning streak. Stanford was a 41-point underdog and still pulled off the upset 24-23. 14th is the Mets over the Orioles in the 1969 World Series. The Orioles were the best team in the MLB, winning 109 games, while the Mets were an expansion franchise in only their 8th season, and the first 7 seasons they were considered a laughingstock of the league, so this was a huge upset. 13th is Chaminade over Virginia in 1982. UVA was the number 1 team in Division I basketball and featured star Ralph Sampson, while Chaminade was a tiny NAIA school in Hawaii. This one was massive. 12th is the Jets over the Colts in Super Bowl III. Now, the Colts had absolutely crushed teams throughout the season with an average margin of victory of almost 20 points per game, and they came into this matchup an 18-point favorite, but Jets quarterback Joe Namath famously guaranteed that they would win the game, and he backed that up. 11th place is Texas Western's 1966 Basketball National Championship. They had several upsets throughout the tournament, but the most notable of which was against mighty Kentucky in the national championship game. This was the first college basketball team with an all-black starting 5 to win the national championship, and they were the inspiration for the movie Glory Road. 10th place is the 2008 Fresno State College Baseball National Championship. Now, this team barely finished the regular season above 500 and would not have made the College World Series if they didn't win their conference tournament. They were a 4 seed in the College World Series, which is about the equivalent of a 15 seed in men's basketball. They defeated 6 top 25 teams on their way to the national championship and won 6 elimination games, an incredible run. 9th place is Harvard over Stanford in the 1998 Women's NCAA Tournament. Now, this was the first time for men's or women's college basketball that a 16 seed defeated a 1, so that's obviously remarkable in itself, but even more remarkable was the fact that Harvard had to travel all the way across the country and face Stanford on their home floor, and they were still able to pull off the historic upset. 8th place is the Nuggets over the Supersonics in the 1994 NBA playoffs. The Nuggets just barely squeaked into the playoffs as the 8th seed, finishing about 500. Meanwhile, the Supersonics had the best season in franchise history with 63 wins. During the series, the Supersonics won the first 2 games by a ton, and everyone thought it would be an easy sweep, but the Nuggets were able to come back and pull off the historic upset, being the first 8 seed to beat a 1. 7th place is App State over Michigan. Michigan was ranked top 5 in the country and paid their FCS opponent $400,000 for what they thought would be an easy win. There wasn't even a betting line set for this matchup because everyone assumed Michigan would win by so many, but App State was able to shock the world and pull off the biggest upset in college football history. 6th place is Villanova over Georgetown in the 1985 National Championship game. Georgetown was the defending national champion, had 5 future NBA players, including legend Patrick Ewing, and was an absolute force throughout the season. Meanwhile, Villanova was only an 8 seed, and on their way to the national championship became the lowest seed to ever win the title. 5th place is the 8 seed We Believe Warriors defeating the number 1 seed Dallas Mavericks in the 2007 NBA playoffs. That year, the Mavs had one of the best seasons in NBA history, winning 67 games, and they also featured one of the best players in the NBA and the league MVP, Dirk Nowitzki. Meanwhile, the Warriors didn't have a single All-Star that season and just squeaked into the playoffs with a record right about 500, but they were still able to pull off one of the most historic upsets in NBA history. 4th place is NC State over Houston in the 1983 National Championship. Houston was the number 1 seed and featured Hall of Famers Hakeem Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler. NC State was only a 6 seed but capped off their Cinderella run with a game-winning dunk at the buzzer for one of the most iconic moments in college basketball history. 3rd place is the Giants over the Patriots in Super Bowl 42. Coming into this matchup, it looked like the Patriots were about to have the best season in NFL history. They're already 18-0, looking to be 19-0, the first team ever to do so. Meanwhile, the Giants barely finished the regular season above 500. No one even gave them a remote shot in this one, but thanks to 2 of the most iconic plays in Super Bowl history, the helmet catch you see here, as well as a game-winning touchdown with 30 seconds left, they pulled off this shocking upset. Number 2 is 16 seed UMBC over number 1 seed Virginia. No one thought a 16 would ever beat a 1. It was absolutely unthinkable, but the Retrievers did just that, and they did so in convincing fashion, winning by 20 points to complete one of the most historic games in college history. And the best upset in sports history got to be the Miracle on Ice, the 1980 gold medal game where the U.S. upset the Soviet Union. The Soviets were the 4-time defending gold medalist and had a team full of veterans, while the U.S. only had young players with no NHL experience, but they were still able to pull off the best upset in sports history.